Hello, I'm Chris Cuomo. Thank you for the company. Now, a little disclaimer, okay? Proud to be at NewsNation, okay? But everybody's got to make their own witness in the times that we live in. And I am not like many people in my business. And there's a lot of diversity of opinion, but I think transparency demands that the people who come at you, forward-facing in the media, tell you straight what they know and how they feel, okay? I have been telling you that there are conversations going on since the debate that were not going on before, but what you saw Thursday night was a surprise to no one. There is hype and opportunism involved in what's going on right now, okay? The right seeded these stories, and Biden gave him an opportunity to, by sucking. But his team knows, the Democratic Party knows, most of you know that Biden is not sure-footed, literally or figuratively, when it comes to debating or spontaneity. We all know that. So what is this new flush? Please, just hold it there. What is this new flush? The new flush is the demand for new. And again, Biden gave them an opportunity. And there have always been members of the party who are not happy with Biden, especially on the progressive left. The idea that he is catering to them is only a little true. They don't want Biden. They would much rather have Kamala Harris. He's not a real progressive as far as they're concerned. But you have to see this for what it is. Two things are true at the same time. Biden is weak. He has diminished capacity. You have a sick man versus a bad man. You have two bad choices. But the fervor of the new and driving a narrative is something that is very hard for the media to resist because it doesn't resist it. It exaggerates it. And that's what you're getting right now. And we keep making the same mistake. We made it during the Russia probe. We made it during the impeachments. We make it during wars. We make it during everything. We overdo it because of the exigency of more and filling time and advancing the story. I am not sold that Biden is out. We will know more when we talk to a governor who was in the room where it happened with Biden today. They don't send out Hochul, a governor of New York State, all right, one of the jewels in the Democratic crown, Wes Moore, the face of the future of that party. They don't send those people out to say things where they're going to be embarrassed. The media was not happy with the support offered. Why? It's not the story they want to drive. Why? Because it's more interesting if Biden's out. See it. It's the game. Now, are others going to say differently than these three did? Yup. But does it mean that they can make something happen? No. Tonight, we will debate Biden's destiny with two Democrats who have very different views, so you'll understand where they're coming from. One is a master political tactician. The other is a master debater. And you'll get both sides within that party. But first, enough of the nasty and the negative, the forced negative. Let's do some forced positive. This is my favorite time of year, except for Thanksgiving. But in terms of what we celebrate as a people, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, I respect them. There's a gravity to them. This one is different. I'm pumped for the 4th of July every year, but especially this year. I'm a proud American, okay? I'm not embarrassed to say that. And I know people will come at me. That's fine. That's your right, but it doesn't make you right. So I have a little celebratory cerebral offering. 4 bits of food for thought. 1, we are a nation born of fire, a nation of fighters for independence, and then what to do with it. That free will. We've been fighting ever since for rights, opportunity, sectarian struggle, to be left alone, to be a more perfect union. Remember, America is an experiment. It is not France. It is not the UK. It is not Germany. It is not Syria. We are a work in process, in flux, about struggle. We are doing something no one else in the world would even try. And so we are often in conflict at home and abroad. So this is not abnormal. This is what we are. Two, we've been through so much worse than our current division. Could you imagine living in the 60s, the 1960s, or the 1860s? The world wars, the Great Depression, the incredible violence and discord that defined our struggle to become the United States. Could you imagine a real civil war? We talk about it. It's going to be a civil war. No, there isn't. Number three, your disposition toward our political reality has a large degree of choice attached to it. I choose to appreciate that we have a fight over this democracy on our hands. This is ultimately going to be good for us. People should tell you where they stand. There should be transparency in the media. You want to know that I can be fair. You should not believe that I have no opinions or no preferences, that there is something called objectivity. Human beings aren't objective, they're subjective. But are you fair? Are you fair? Can you be impartial? So I choose to appreciate what this country affords. And of course, what I have in my life. We are too attuned to grievance. And that only benefits the parties and power players that practice divide and conquer. We have to stop helping them hurt us. We share so much more than what separates us in America. We have such similar concerns. Different race, creed, place, face, it doesn't matter. We care about our families. We care about our future. We care about opportunity, right? We care about the same things. The media and all this upset, it's got two sources. Frustration that Biden's going to lose. This is a big election. People are really afraid of Trump and what he suggests about what he's going to do with power. Now, I don't buy all of it because I think he's just a big mouth. And I saw what he did the first time. Drain the swamp, deep state, build the wall. He didn't do any of those things. But there's also a desire for negativity, and it is what sells stories. Negativity is a proxy for insight. The media craves the new and the negative more than anything else. The most dangerous place to be is between the media and where it wants a story to go. And right now, the narrative is for Biden to go. They will juice that story until you have so many members of the party say enough, stop, and they start to shame the media that it will stop. Or the momentum, the energy of the coverage could motivate more unrest within the party. And that's not the media's fault. If the Democrats decide to take this opportunity and make a move on Biden, that's on them. Doesn't matter who pushes you. You start throwing punches, the fight's on you, right? Not on the person who said, go get him, go get him. But see it for what it is, okay? That is the job. But it also can be exaggerated. And I think that's what's happening right now. Here's the fourth one, and I think it's the most important. This too shall pass. That is always the case, but it is very important to remember in the moment. You got to do everything you can to get out of it. But whether Biden is in or out, whether Trump wins or loses, the economic cycles, the culture battles, they all pass. Don't exaggerate the meaning of right now, because by the time you figure out what really matters, the moment is gone and we're on to the next. So try, if you can, to remember we are so blessed to be in this country. For all the tumult, all the division, the possibilities, the potential, the opportunities that we have here, the rest of the world craves so much that they would almost like to see us fail rather than deal with the jealousy of not having what we have. Remember that, because it's the truth. So, what do we know? Is there fallout in the Democratic Party? Yup. Why? Because Biden opened the door by sucking at the debate. And his team, and him, because he was behind this decision, created this opportunity earlier than usual because they thought they were going to shut the door on this notion that Biden has diminished capacity. It failed. So You do have Democrats who now feel that there is an opportunity, welcomed by the media and encouraged by the right, to say Biden's got to go. So the president met with the governors. Why? Now, I was watching the coverage of the governors' meeting. Nobody's telling you why the governors matter. The governors matter because they control and have a feel for who? Themselves? No. The state party chairs. State party chairs have delegates. Governors have control over that process as well because they're the putative head of their party, right? We talked about this last night. So in that room, Biden had the men and women who have a real feel for which way their states are going to go in terms of misgivings about Biden. One of the governors in the room is going to join us later with a full breakdown of how things went. Polls coming in show that the debate mattered. Biden is in trouble. Remember, he's running against someone who is a convicted felon who lost by 7 million votes the last time and is widely regarded to be one of the least liked people in the history of our leadership. And yet, a New York Times poll released today has Trump up Biden 9 points. Last week, it was 6. Is that a big move? Not as big as people expected, but it's a real margin. For where we are right now, it's not good. New Wall Street Journal poll out today shows Trump, again, up Biden 6 points. You won't find polls. I know internally the Democrats are saying the numbers are a dead heat. I'm not seeing that in any of the outside polls. All right? Trump definitely got a boost out of the debate. Will it last? I don't know. But 80% of voters in the Wall Street Journal poll say Biden is too old to run for a second term. We've never seen anything like this before. We've never seen this kind of rejection of both choices, one way or another. So, what does it mean? Let's bring in NewsNation's political editor and anchor of The Hill Sunday, a good show, Chris Stirewalt. Good to see you.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
No, it's good. You're different. You understand the process in a way that I think that people who've been doing it for a while on Sunday mornings, you kind of get caught up into the routine and the dialogue and the relationships, and you have a freshness to it that I think is certainly going to resonate over time. So the governors come out and they say, we're good. Biden's our guy. Is that the end of the conversation?
No. And I think you diagnosed correctly the situation that Democrats find themselves in. They had talked themselves into the idea over time. You know what? Biden's okay. It's okay. And then when the dam breaks and all of a sudden it becomes okay to say that he's not okay, the trickle turns into a stream and it might turn into a river. And what Joe Biden's trying to do today is shore up the wall again, right? Bring these folks in, get them on board. These are, as you point out, influential people, not only in their states, but they're national figures. Wes Moore, as you said, the future of the Democratic Party in some ways. Bring them in and get them to put themselves on the line. I'm with the guy. I'm not turning my back on him as the members of Congress are turning their backs on him. We're standing with the guy. Whether they can get that wall rebuilt will depend substantially on what the polls that we see and the polls that they see internally tell them.
I don't buy that shame on Biden's team for hiding his diminished capacity. I don't think they've hidden anything. Biden is, to kind of paraphrase Dennis Green, remember him, the Minnesota Vikings coach? They are who we thought they were. Biden is who we thought he was. He's not good on his feet. How many times do you have to see it? I just think that it is your point, that it's not that it's new, it's just that it's now. And maybe they got lucky in having this debate early, not because it paid off the way they wanted it to, but they're getting the consternation out of the way because there have been a lot of the people in the party that don't like Biden.
I don't blame the White House for trying to make people think that Joe Biden was more vigorous and sharper than he is. That's their job. That's what they do. And people who are yelling at a campaign or an administration for putting a rosier spin on things, that's hogwash, right? Of course they do that. That's what they do. I do think, though, that there is some ruefulness, some self-recrimination going on in the press because the narrative of Biden is okay and everything is fine and actually he's not that old. There was a lot of that going on in the media instead of a frank take. Let's be honest. The Republicans did not have it within themselves to say to Donald Trump what they should have said after January 6th, which is absolutely not. You're not fit for this. You can't do this. We don't want you. And because of what base voters wanted, they didn't do it. Right? They thought about it. Kevin McCarthy thought about it. Mitch McConnell thought about it, but they didn't do it. Here are Democrats. Biden's weak with the Democratic base. You alluded to this at the top of the show. He's not strong with the Democratic base. So as these folks think about doing something, and look, maybe it's the right thing, maybe it's the wrong thing. It's not my place to say for them, but they're considering something that they should have considered a long time ago, which is, should we tell this guy, should they have told Joe Biden in 2022, no, not you. We love you, but no, you can't run. You're too old. Now they're thinking about it.
Well, he said he was going to be a one-term president. The term, it is arcana, but it is illustrative of where we are. Hoisted on your own petard. Petard, the French word
yes,
for an explosive. They strapped Biden to themselves, and now they're getting blown up by him, and they're going to have to ride him one way or the other. We'll see what happens. I still think it's less than 50-50 that they get rid of him, but we'll see where we are after the George Stephanopoulos interview and where people have the weekend to go with all their constituents and see how they feel. And I'll come back to you, Chris Stirewalt. Looking forward to your show this weekend as always. Thank you, brother.
Happy Independence Day, my friend.
All right. Thank you, my man. Let's debate, okay? Democrats are of two minds about this, okay? Just hours ago, the president said, let me say this as clearly and simply as I can, which is interesting word choice for him, right? Because he has a hard time expressing himself. I'm running. That's not the question. I'm the Democratic Party's nominee. We'll see after the convention. No one is pushing me out. That's probably true. It's on him. I'm not leaving. That means he looked himself in the mirror, talked to his wife after that debate, and still thinks that he is the best chance of keeping Trump from being in leadership in this country. I'm in this race to the end, and we're going to win this race. He can control if he's in it, assuming his health is okay. Whether he wins is a very dicey proposition. Let's debate whether what Biden is saying should be accepted by his party. Mehdi Hasan is the editor-in-chief and founder of news platform Zeteo, okay? Smart guy, very good analyst and arguer, and you're about to see that. And Democratic strategist, former advisor to then President Bill Clinton and many others. I grew up watching this man's point of view be taken as gospel by my father and brother, Hank Scheinkoff. It's good to see you both. So,
thank you.
Mehdi Hasan, let you start. The governors come out and say, we're good with Joe. Why isn't that the end of the conversation?
Thanks for having me, Chris. Just want to correct something from your very interesting, excellent monologue in many ways. I'm not a Democrat, right? I'm a progressive. I'm of the left. I'm not a member of the Democratic Party. I'm not approaching this as a Democrat. Well, I am actually as a small d Democrat. The reason I have a skin in this game, why I care about this fight, is because I care about the future of American democracy. As you say, we're about to celebrate the 4th of July, independence, American history. I believe all of that is at stake come November. And the only thing I care about is stopping the proto-fascist candidate that the GOP are putting up once again. And when I look at the polls, when I look at the debate last week, when I look at the numbers, it just is very clear that Joe Biden is in a very bad place, as you laid out in the introduction. No president has ever been this unpopular at this stage in the cycle, so close to Election Day. Thursday night was a car crash of a debate. That's when I came out and said he should step aside. I've never said that before. I said it Thursday night because it was just ridiculous what we saw on Thursday night, and because I see no way back for Joe Biden. One thing I've been waiting for the last few days is for a plan. What is the plan that Joe Biden has to recover all the voters he's losing by the day? He's down 6 points in the New York Times poll today among likely voters, 8 points, amongst registered voters. In fact, the most crucial stat, Chris, in that poll is that the number of Republican voters who want Biden to stay on as the nominee has gone up, not down, since last week, because the Republicans know he's eminently beatable. So I want to hear what the plan is. I don't think there's a plan. They briefed to Axios, Team Biden, he's going to give a great convention speech. We may get an interest rate cut, and that's going to deliver victory. That's BS. they are in a very bad place. If they switch now to Kamala Harris, they have some chance of recovering ground, having a younger, more effective prosecutor of the case, someone who can maybe turn the page on Gaza, and someone who could actually rhetorically beat up Trump at the next debate if there is another debate.
Hank, what is Mehdi missing or weighing differently than you do with the proposition of Biden?
But why don't we just rip up the Democratic Party, turn it into shreds, and throw it out the window? You know, I'm still a great believer in democracy. I believe the left would like to see the Democratic Party be ripped asunder. I think they'd like to see a generational shift, which is part of what's driving this. And I think there are people within the Democratic world, 3 people whatsoever, specifically, who are at war about what the future should look like in their own image or not. And I think Gaza has a good deal to do with it. The young generation, which probably won't turn out in the numbers people think to vote in the fall, would love to see Joe Biden gone. They would love to see something called progressivism put in its place. And there you have it, the battle between a generation of Bidens that has calluses on its hand, that bore burdens and paid a price, versus people who frankly have had it very good, have done very little, and paid no price at all. Therein lies the difference. So we can make a choice here. Either we're really Democrats who believe we should pay the burden and pay the price, or we're going to be something else. And the something else we've seen in our streets, it does not work. It doesn't work. They ain't working, and that won't work.
Well, let's do this. We're going to know more after the interview Sunday night, okay? I think they're doing it tomorrow. I would love to have you guys come back. This is going to be Mehdi's question. What's his plan? How does he present? It's not going to happen at the convention. It's going to happen or not with George Stephanopoulos in this interview. Fellas, please come back after the holiday. Let's see how he does, and then have the conversation, because then you're going to know everything you have to know about what the proposition is. Mehdi, thank you very much, and all good things at Tateo. I love what you're putting out. I know it's only going to get broader and stronger. Thank you very much. Hank Scheinkoff, as always, a benefit. Enjoy yourselves this weekend. 4 minutes, 5 seconds. Coming up, we've never seen division in our parties in recent history like we are right now. Now, I'm not impressed by it, okay? But it's real. Dirty Jobs host Mike Rowe wanted to look at the country to get a better feel than what he sees reverberating throughout the media and social media. He went around the country to help us get to the core of what we're about. What did he learn? What does the 4th of July mean to him now? Plus, President Biden met with the governors. How did it go? One of the governors from that meeting coming up. Important perspective. Heated gas. That's a clip of Dirty Jobs host Mike Rowe's new movie that he wrote and produced. It's called Something to Stand For. And I got to tell you, I love it. I love the timing, but I love the theme. It reminds me very much of a book my father wrote, driven by the same kind of motivations as Mike, that was called Reason to Believe, as a reminder of what we're about here. Mike set out to answer a very simple question. What does it mean to be patriotic in America today? What's the answer? Mike joins us now. Good to see you, brother.
Great to see you, Chris. Great monologue, by the way.
Thank you very much. What mattered to you about this project? What surprised you?
Well, a lot of things. You know, I'm the son of a social studies teacher, so I grew up with a front row seat to not just history, but history delivered with great enthusiasm and a lot of gratitude. And so, you know, as I got older, I became sort of disconnected from the past. I think the same way people become disconnected from their food and their energy and a lot of primal things that matter. So I started writing these short stories in the style of Paul Harvey a couple of years ago for my podcast. That turned into a book. That turned into a TV show. And then somebody said, look, for Independence Day, now more than ever, if you take the most shamelessly patriotic tales from your library and put them together in this Paul Harvey format, it just might work on the big screen. And I know this sounds a little douchey. Forgive me for saying it out loud, but I was checking Rotten Tomatoes during the break. Chris, we're at 98%. What it means to be patriotic right now, I think you get to fill in the blank, but I'll tell you what, that's a question that millions of people are asking themselves. And it's a sticky wicket to untangle, especially in a time when everything is politicized as well, including our patriotism. And that's a drag.
Well, see, look, but here's the beauty of it. The division is manufactured. It doesn't mean that what they're using as the raw materials to manufacture it are not legit. But you can just as easily manufacture a very different perspective on what it means to be patriotic and how connected we are and how much interdependence and interconnectedness there is in the American experience. That's just as true as anything else that's being peddled. Isn't this kind of like an offset or an antidote?
Maybe, because I don't think it's just being manufactured, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's being manufactured and amplified like we've never seen it before. Can you imagine if we had the internet and social media during the Revolution or the Civil War, even during Reagan? The things that were said about Reagan that most Americans don't really remember were every bit as vitriolic, every bit as horrible and terrible as the headlines we're reading today. We're just drinking from a fire hose. And there's so much coming at us, and there's so much topspin on the ball that it's difficult for us. As you said earlier, two thoughts at the same time. Isn't it possible to look at our country as a work in progress, a country formed by imperfect men that has nevertheless accomplished something that no other system of government in the world has come close to doing? And can't we celebrate that? Can't we be proud of it? Can't we be grateful for it? The other thing you riffed on that I really liked was appreciation, gratitude. This is not a thing we're born with. This isn't hair color, eye color, skin color, blood type, or star sign. This is a thing we can all choose to be. Left, right, conservative, liberal, it doesn't matter. If you choose to be fundamentally grateful, to live in the place we call home, studies show it's very difficult to feel sorry for yourself or victimized or bitter or broken. And if I had to say one thing that I think we can agree on, everybody, that this movie will amplify, it's the fact that gratitude is a choice. And we ought to make it on Thanksgiving and the 4th of July, and maybe Tuesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays too. Why not? So it was great fun to make the movie. It was a privilege to write it and to sit in the theater and watch it as I did in New York this week. A consummation devoutly to be wished.
You were in New York and didn't call me so we could go out and have dinner?
I know you're busy, man. You're a very big deal. I watched your show and I thought I should probably send him a screener or maybe a ticket. But then I Googled your net worth and I thought, he'll be fine. He can buy one.
That was pre-firing and litigation. Let me ask you something that will matter probably as much to the audience as anything else we've discussed. That is a 60s Ford Bronco that you were driving in this movie, is it not?
72
Ford Bronco? 289 or 302? What's in it?
302.
Do you not
Heavy
service
cam.
your vehicles? Why was it not starting?
Well, it's not my vehicle, Chris. You see, as an actor of some experience, what I rely on is the prop department to afford me a modicum of stuff. Now, equally tragic is the fact that as I sit here looking at my computer, I notice I'm wearing the same exact shirt as I did when I hosted the film. But be that as it may, this was not a Hollywood production. We shot all those recreations in Oklahoma with 300 actors, all from Oklahoma. I'm not even making it up. And we stitched it together with a trip to D.C., where I visit the memorials and the monuments and the statuary that was built to honor some of the people that the film celebrates. So it's a weird combination of a documentary meets a field trip, meets Saving Private Ryan, meets the Dirty Jobs guy saying, hey, surely, there's still got to be a few things my buddies on the left and right can come together with. High five, have a beer, and maybe a few laughs.
Hey, look, I keep telling you, and I tell my audience all the time, we need you. What you're speaking to and how you're doing it, I think, is the ultimate manifestation of your talents. And you have an eye for beauty. And you can see beauty in things where people often don't. And that's really important right now. And that's why I love what you've been doing with the artisan class. And it's a real shame that it is nowhere in this campaign on either side of the two nominees. But I'm going to keep working with you on that. And I think it's as big of what knits people together as anything. It's just the future of the trades and the artisan class of how we're going to build and maintain ourselves in our country. So thank you for what you're doing. You are an American, Mike Rowe, and I appreciate you.
Nice of you to say. Nice of you to say, Chris. And thanks again for that last project. The feedback was incredible. The needle moved. But beyond all that, shameless plug, Something to Stand For .movie. It ends tomorrow. We did it for Independence Day. And I'm proud of it for what that's worth. I appreciate it.
It's in theaters now. Something to Stand For. Mike Rowe, the one and only. Thank you, brother. Enjoy yourself. 4 minutes, 30 seconds. President Biden met with the Democratic governors. What happened? I don't know. I wasn't there. But I have a governor who was. Next. President Biden held this big White House meeting with 20 Democratic governors. The governor of Hawaii was there. Governor Josh Green, who's also a physician, joins us now. Gov.
Hey, thank you, Chris. It was an incredible meeting, and we appreciated the time with the president. That's important to us.
Okay, I have several questions. The first one is, why did I tell the audience that you're a physician? As a physician, what was your take on how Biden presented?
He presented very well. I asked him right off the bat what happened on debate night, and he said he was exhausted. That is believable. When people have that level of exhaustion, they can be out of sorts. And let's be honest, the president is old. The former president is old. And that was a big challenge. And he expressed regret that he didn't come rested and ready because, you know, the amount of BS that came out of the former president, Mr. Trump's mouth, was something that he was not able to counter the way he likes to. So I looked at it clinically. And if you want, we can dive in clinically about what I feel about both the president and the former president. I'm not their personal physician, but I have pretty serious insights.
Josh, here's my concern. Yes. It's not temporary. It's not a one-off. That's who Biden is. He's okay one-on-one. He's okay prepared. He's okay on the phone. But live, having to be facile, having to be that spontaneous, he doesn't have it. That's who he is. It wasn't a mistake that night.
Can I let me riff with you here, Chris? So first of all, you're right. The president was fatigued and he looked beat up and he was not at his best at all. I will tell you, though, when we were with him after the Maui wildfire, which is where we last spent a lot of time together, he spent 3 hours greeting 300 plus individuals and family members that had been displaced by the fire. And that guy killed it. And that's not that long ago, just so people know. There's a picture, right? So
I get it.
And so the president is living with, fatigue because he's 81. Now, the former president is living with a narcissistic personality disorder. And I'm not joking here, okay? Like I said, I'm not his doctor, but if you want to actually describe someone with narcissism and an antisocial personality disorder, you have to show that they have grandiose feelings. They're preoccupied with their own perception of success, that they demand excessive admiration, that they exploit people, that they lack empathy, that they are arrogant. These are the descriptors from psychiatrists about a narcissistic personality disorder. And that's how you get legislation and policy that leaves people out in the woods. So, people are going to have to decide. President Biden told us today he is running. He is going to be on the ticket. That's it. Okay. Now, if people are worried that he is going to be fatigued in the late evening, that's a concern and they can judge that. But I would rather judge a person on what they are in their core. And this is a decent person versus, in my opinion, with former President Trump, someone who doesn't have empathy for people.
I'm with you. You got an old man versus a bad man. Two bad choices, Gov, and that is shame on the party system as far as I'm concerned. But look, here's the real question, okay, in terms of the analysis, and then we'll go to what you think the realities are. The concern is not that he has a bad night on the debate stage. It's not that he's a lousy debater. It's that he won't make it 4 more years. and you're going to get stuck with Harris and people don't want Harris. How real do you think that concern is?
It's a good question. Right now, if you ask me about either of these gentlemen, I can't guarantee you that either of them is going to be around 4 years from now. They're older white males. The average lifespan of a white male is 77. Both of these guys have already lived longer than you might expect. But I will take the guy that's decent. You said it, an old guy that's decent versus a bad man. Take that guy. Take the first one. Take the first guy that's decent.
You think he'll make it 4 years?
I actually do think he'll make it 4 years, but I can't guarantee at all how he'll be in 2 years. I can't guarantee how former President Trump will be in 2 years either. Honestly, it is a roll of the dice. As you said, when we nominated old white guys, shame on the parties if that's the way you want to look at it. I mean, there's a lot of younger
I don't have a
people.
problem with old white guys. I don't have a problem with old white guys. It's just about the vitality, the ideas, the plans, the goal structure, the teams. I mean, that's why I don't like these two guys. It's not personal. Well, it is with Trump because he came after me, targeted me and my family. So we have personal beef, but I still have to be fair to the issues in the presentation, which is why I'm chasing on Biden. Do you believe he will be pushed out by the progressive wing of your party?
I don't think the president's going anywhere. He earned the nomination, and we have a process, so I don't think that they're going to push him out. I've been speaking with senators, congressmen, and, of course, all of my Democratic governor colleagues. Honestly, I don't think he'll get pushed out, and I'll be the first to eat those words if something changes. But the president, in the first 10 seconds of our meeting, said, I'm staying in the race, and he is stubborn, and that's one of the things I like about Joe Biden.
Did people in the meeting say you should leave? Were there people who came after him in the meeting or no?
They didn't. And I will be a little careful about what other people said, but I do want to be direct with you. Otherwise, I'm wasting everyone's time. They did not come out at him and say, leave the race. People said, what's the strategy? And how can we be sure that you're going to be able to kick butt from time to time and be energized? And he acknowledged that completely. Like I said, I straight up asked him what happened that night and what was wrong. And it was a hard and personal question, but he encourages that from we younger governors. He wants us to press him, actually. So I appreciated it. I don't think he's leaving the race. The governors were supportive, but they want to see him come out and take it to Mr. Trump, just like you do. And they want to see him call Trump out on his BS when he's attacking women or whatever the issue.
Look, that's the job in the campaign. And if he can't do it, then you guys are going to have a problem. Governor Josh Green, you are always welcome here to make the case. I appreciate your candor. Thank you very much. Anything we can do, we're a call away.
Thank you for the early morning wake-up call.
Gov, sorry about that. You're the best. You definitely are working hard for the people of Hawaii. There's no question about it. He was up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Thank you very much. Or maybe I woke him up at 4 o'clock in the morning. 3 minutes, 45 seconds. Okay, I got something cool for you here. So it turns out the new way to go big, okay? Like if you're like a big toy person, is to go small. This is such a cool thing that I pulled over on the side of the road and asked the guy who's behind this company, Headley Studios, you got to come on. And you know why I said yes? Because we've been friends most of my life. But this is really cool. You haven't heard of this yet. Mini masterpieces. All right. If you love cars, I absolutely do. And if you love the new thing, and I absolutely do, you have to meet a guy named Andrew Farkas, who's behind a company called Headley Studios. Okay, Headley is this designer, but also an artist. He has come up with such a cool thing, all right? You should have seen the crowd around this out in the village where I live. He partnered with Ferrari, Bugatti, Bentley, Aston Martin, and they created these one-of-a-kind electric mini versions, scale versions of iconic classics, but it's not like a plastic shell over like some, unibody. They worked with the actual car makers. So, like, they actually are. It is a little baby Bugatti. They're all electric, very cool, and they are really selling. And this is a high-end thing, man. These are works of art. Some people are buying them just to put them in their house. Anyway, I thought it was cool, and I wanted you to hear about it, and I invited Andrew Farkas to come on, and he did. He's the chairman and CEO of Island Capital. That's another thing I thought was cool. He loves cars, but this is, like, new for him, too. Look at the Fark hanging out in his little mini Aston Martin, little mini James Bond. So tell everybody what the appeal is of these cars. What makes them cool for a guy like you who could have whatever they want?
Well, first, Chris, I don't have much time for you because I'm on my way to Casino Royale. So I'll show you what I can, but, you know, when you got to go, you got to go. These, right, I sort of found out about these the same way everybody else does. It was sort of serendipitous. I met the artist. The artist's name is Ben Headley, and their studio is just outside of Oxford, England, in a place called Bicester. And I learned that they were collaborating with the most extraordinary car makers sort of in the world. And they were working with those car makers at their request to create precise scale models. These are not toys. These are not replicas. They're literally scale models. They're made by artists. They're completely authorized by Ferrari over here. And the one I'm in is an Aston Martin.
Wow,
then,
look at that.
Over here is the baby Bugatti. And then you have the Bentley Blower. And there are a whole series of other ones. But they're made by artists in a studio. Each one takes about 6 months to build and create. They're made by individual artists. They are in limited edition. Each one is numbered and signed. And they're just extraordinary. People will keep them sometimes in their living room. How much? People put them in. Well,
brass tacks.
If you want to know how much, I'm afraid you're gonna have to come to the gallery and see them because that's only for the acquirers to know. I'm sure that I probably can't afford it, but they're fast enough. They're faster than you.
Well, that's for sure. Let me tell you, Andrew Farkas. I've known Andrew a long time. He's a great businessman, but I'll tell you what. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen him be a part of. And you know what's so funny is that when you look at him in that car, he looks like a big guy. But it's only because the car is small. Andrew Farkas, thank you very much. Headley Studios is where you go online to find these cars. We'll be right back. Thanks, Fark.
Chris, so